Welcome to Intuitive Alchemy, where we recode your reality from the inside out. I'm your host, Sydney, trained intuitive, energetic alchemist, and certified hypnotherapist. And this podcast is here for the woman who is done playing small. Here, we go deep into energy, identity, universal law, source truths, and the neuroscience behind what actually creates lasting change. No fluff, no filters, just conversations that shift your frequency and call you back to the most powerful version of you, the one who knows it was always her and it can only be gotten from her. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the Intuitive Alchemy podcast. This is where we recode our reality from the inside out. And I am actually on vacation this week. So at the time of releasing this episode, it was my birthday yesterday. I turned 32 yesterday, and I am in the Colorado mountains with my partner Corey, and we're visiting my parents, just having a super chill and fun and relaxing week. And we needed it. We really needed it. We also needed to just cool down because it is getting really, really hot in Phoenix, and it's not that hot in the mountains. So we're having a great time. But I made a super, super exciting announcement just yesterday on my birthday on my Instagram, which if you're not following me there, what are you even doing? Please follow me there at Intuitively Sydney and let's connect. And then you can stay up to date on all the new things and just kind of all the random stuff I post on my story. So the announcement is my signature program called RECODE, where it's a 10-week program with, I think at this point it's 12 modules, but knowing me, that could change and we could do more. I'm like, maybe it's going to be more than that, but we'll see. As of right now, it is a 10-week program, 12 modules. We are going into the 8 areas of life. This is a full recode. Okay, this course is what I wish I had years ago. This course is everything you need to recode your reality in every area of life, to upgrade your reality in every area of your life. And I just wish I could tell you everything that I'm putting in this program because I'm so excited about it. It is going to be so incredibly transformative and amazing. And my main intention with this is to reconnect you with your power. My main intention with everything is to help you reconnect with your power and stop outsourcing it. I want you to be able to just really look and know yourself and know what's best for you. And one huge way that you can do that is by connecting with your intuition. And so for today's episode, I am actually going to give you the full module 1 of my RECODE program. And it is Intuition 101. And I'm going to teach you how to connect. First of all, we're going to talk about what is intuition, what are the different ways that you can experience intuition, like the different clairs or channels. And I'm going to teach you 4 different ways to get yes or no answers from your intuition. And I'm going to give a little bit of homework, as I do, as I always do. So this is just a taste of what is like the depth of what's going to be in my RECODE program. And again, this is just module 1. So we're kind of like, we're wading into the waters, but we're going to go just even so much deeper than this. But I want to start here. I want to share this. And hopefully, if you are someone who's like, I just haven't ever really felt super intuitive, or I never know what my intuition is saying, like, I don't know how to connect, I can't wait for you to listen to this and start to put into practice what these things are that I'm teaching. And I can't wait for you to let me know how it goes for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to play you module 1. It is almost an hour long, so buckle up, take notes, listen to this multiple times. I promise you, you're not going to soak it all up in just one time. And I hope that you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to module 1 of my program, RECODE. I am so excited for each of these modules, but I really just wanted to start with Intuition 101 because throughout the program, we are going to be using our intuition, and I really just wanted to teach you how to access that. Although, of course, you can book a one-on-one session with me anytime, and I can use my intuition to connect with your fields and your higher self. I really want to teach you how to do it so that you are never, ever depending on anyone outside of yourself for especially just, day-to-day things. So let's get right into it. What is intuition? Intuition is your soul language. It's your internal GPS system, and it absolutely never steers you wrong, unlike Apple Maps or Google Maps, they make some mistakes sometimes, but your intuition never does. It is not logical. It does not always make sense. And in fact, a lot of the time it doesn't make sense. But later it does. Later you're like, oh, okay, I can see how, why it was that way, why it told me that. But intuition is not fear, and it is definitely not someone else's opinion that has been just programmed within you and is now disguised as a gut feeling. So I also want to touch back on the fact that intuition is not fear, because I think such a common thing to happen is you are feeling anxious about something, or you're feeling a sense of dread about something, and you're just like, oh, well, that must be my intuition. That's my gut feeling telling me like something is off, or my partner is cheating on me, or something bad is going to happen, and that is not, that's anxiety, that's ruminating, that's not intuition. If it were true intuition, because absolutely sometimes we will get intuitive hits that are like, maybe your partner is cheating on you and you get an intuitive hit or an intuitive download, an intuitive knowing that maybe something is going on. How you know that it's intuition versus just fear or programming is, how does it feel? When you receive that information, how does it feel? Do you feel instantly activated and very like hypervigilant, and like your chest is tight and your stomach is nervous, and you already just feel an instant sense of dread and anxiety? If that is how you feel, then it's not intuition. If you're just kind of going about your day and you receive this feeling or this knowing, or, however you receive your information, which we're going to talk about the different Clairs here in a little bit. And you're just like, that's interesting. I need to check more into that. Then that is your intuition. So your intuition feels subtle. It's usually very quick. And like I said, it is totally neutral. It's really, you can think of it like a whisper before your conscious mind starts yelling. Because once the conscious mind gets involved, things do get obviously a little bit louder and more logical, and we try to make sense of it, and that's totally fine because that is the conscious mind's job. But we just don't want to confuse that for intuition, because it's not. They have two separate purposes completely. So we have, this is just so cool, we have a whole entire universe, a whole entire just galactic library of information that we can receive through all of the different fields that we can read, like source field, higher self, soul, your soul field. And intuition is how we can access and receive that wealth of incredibly valuable information. So first things first, we're just going to demystify it. Intuition is not dramatic, thunder striking, That's So Raven moments. If you watched That's So Raven, she'd be going about her life, and then randomly it would be like, hold on, I'm having a vision. Let me just stop everything and just watch this vision really dramatically, and then I'm going to know exactly the answer. No, that's not usually how it happens. Intuition is much more subtle than that, but it's always right. Okay, let's get into the different clairs. There are 4 main clairs that we're going to talk about today. So we'll start with clairvoyance. This is clear seeing. This could be like a flash, a color, a symbol. It's not like a full-on movie reel that's just playing out in perfect order and it makes perfect sense, and like everything that's going on, and it plays out, and the sequencing is perfect, and it makes perfect sense. That is not how most people experience clairvoyance. I'll give examples after I go through each of these. I'll give examples for how these actually come through for most of us that experience these clairs. So the next one, clairaudience, that's clear hearing. So those are, a lot of times that comes through in your own inner voice. So if you are someone, I know that there is a population of people who doesn't have an inner voice, like a head voice, but if you do, then that is often how you're going to experience clairaudience. Next one is clairsentience, and that is clear feeling. Some examples of these can be like a gut feeling. You might have chills whenever you hear something that's true or that just really resonates with you, or you might even feel a really strong emotion all of a sudden. And then the last one, claircognizance, that is clear knowing. It's just like literally what it sounds like. It's just something all of a sudden, and there's no reason why you should know that or why you do know that. And it's oftentimes like there's no way that you even could know that without it being from your intuition. So this is not like the TV psychic, you got the crystal ball and you rub it and then you see this vision, or you hear this dramatic voice in your head that's not yours. That's not how it is. And I think that whenever it is portrayed that way, it disconnects us from realizing how connected we already are most of the time to our intuition, because it's like, okay, well, I don't experience this huge dramatic production, so I guess I'm not very intuitive. And that is such a disservice to us, because our intuition, every single one of it, we are born with intuition. We become disconnected to it through not practicing it, it's a muscle just like any other physical muscle in your body. When you don't exercise it, it can atrophy, it can weaken. But every single one of us is born with the ability to connect with our intuition. So I should have said that first, but I'm going to say it now. You are intuitive. You are intuitive. I promise you. And even if you don't feel like it quite yet, you will be. After you do the work in this module, the homework and everything, you will start to see and you will start to clock all these moments whenever your intuition is speaking to you. And maybe before you just weren't picking it up, you weren't realizing it, or you were calling it something else. So, okay. Here are some actual real life examples of how each of the clairs can be experienced. And typically you'll have a main 1 or 2 clair, and that's just like, that's a channel. That's another way you might hear people refer to these clairs as channels, like your channels. I have 2 that are really strong, and then, well, I would say I have 3 that are really strong, and then 1 that kind of comes in and out. And you may have 1 that's super strong and then the other 3 not as much yet, or you may already have all 4 online. Like, amazing. So that's just kind of it. Just think of it as different channels, okay? Different ways that you receive information. So clairvoyance, you may be thinking, let's say you're thinking of someone and you see a flash of a color in your mind's eye. And when I say see, I mean in your mind's eye, not like literally see something with your eyes in reality. And then maybe you see that person later and they're wearing that color of shirt, whatever color flashed in your mind, maybe they're wearing that color of shirt. That could be an example of clairvoyance. For me, whenever I experience clairvoyance, it's typically like when I'm doing an intuitive read for someone, I may see like a vision of them doing something. Like one time when I was doing an intuitive read for a friend, I was seeing her like hike or do something outdoors, and I was seeing like pine trees or kind of like Pacific Northwest vibes is what I was seeing. So that's an example of clairvoyance. Clairaudience, this is one of my strongest ones. It's where you, like I said, you hear in your inner voice, in your head voice, something, a message. It could be literally just like one word. It could be a whole sentence. You could hear, sometimes, I don't really get this one as much, but a lot of times people who are clairaudient will hear a song, like, or a random lyric from a song, or they'll get a song stuck in their head that has some kind of meaning. That's an example of clairaudience. So it can be just as little as a word, or it can be as much as, a whole phrase, or channeling a message, a full entire message, or a song, or something like that. So some examples of how I experience this is I will literally, this is kind of a funny story. So, my partner Corey and I were watching several months ago, we were rewatching the Harry Potter movies, and I haven't seen the Harry Potter movies in so long. And we were watching the Half-Blood Prince, and I can't remember like which number that is, but we were watching Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And I probably only saw that movie like one time in the theaters when it came out, which was of course like, I don't know, 15 years ago or more, at least, maybe 20 years ago. I don't even know. It's been a long time. And so we're watching it, and I'm sitting there like, I genuinely do not remember who the Half-Blood Prince is. Like, obviously at one point I did know, but at this point it's been so long, and I cannot remember who the Half-Blood Prince is. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like watching, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to see if I can remember, and I have absolutely no recollection. And then I heard, it's Snape. Now, I'm sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that by now, but also if you haven't seen that by now, like you're probably just not going to, because it's not new. And so I received that. I literally heard in my head, it's Snape. And then, but I still didn't know if that was correct. I was just like, I even kind of argued with it and pushed back with my conscious mind. I was kind of like, I don't think so. Like, does that make sense? I don't think I remember it being Snape. Like, that's probably wrong. So I kid you not, it was maybe 10 minutes after that happened when Snape, like, we found out in the movie that it was Snape, Professor Snape. So that was so interesting. And I just remember like telling Corey in that moment, like, oh my gosh, in my head, I was just thinking about how I don't remember who the Half-Blood Prince is. And then I heard that it was Snape, but I didn't think that that was right. And then here we are, it is right. And my intuition, like my intuition came through in that moment in the form of clairaudience. And that happens to me all the time. And I'll just hear something. And so for so many years, this is how I received a lot of information, but I just chalked it up to like, oh, I just made that up. Basically, that's just me making stuff up because, my brain is very active and it's powerful, and, everyone's is. And so I just was like, oh, well, that's just my logical mind, like making things up or manipulating things or whatever. But what I've learned is that that's not what's happening. So that was kind of a cool story that stood out to me. And I was able to like recognize that in that moment that was my clairaudience. So, clairsentience. Let's talk about that one next. Okay, so this one is for my highly sensitive, empathic people. You, my friends, are clairsentient, and you may not even know it. This is the Clair that you just feel things. Like you walk into a room and you're already like, oh my God, I just need to sage this whole room and my entire being, because you can just like feel everything in the room, all of the energy, all of the emotions, all of the vibes, the tension. Maybe it's a great feeling, maybe it's like so happy, and then you're just overwhelmed with the happiness. You're just like a sponge. You soak up the energy and you can feel it so palpably. That is clairsentience. It's super, super cool. It can also be very exhausting. And if you are highly clairsentient, you need, which that's not what this module is about, but I'm just side note. If you are highly clairsentient, you absolutely have to have a really solid energetic hygiene routine. You have got to make sure that you are calling back your energy to you and severing energetic cords and bindings with everyone every single day. And really, we all need to be doing this every day anyway, but especially whenever you are absorbing energies in the way that clairsentients do. Okay. Last one, claircognizance. This is when you literally just know something and there's no reason why you should or could know that. Like you just knew someone was lying. You couldn't prove it, but you just knew. Or you just all of a sudden, like you ask a question or you think a question and you just like all of a sudden kind of know the answer. And you're just like, How do I know that? Where did that come from? That's claircognizance. This is my other strongest clair. I'm definitely clairsentient as well, but I would definitely say claircognizance and clairaudience are my main ones. So claircognizance, like something that happens to me really often, and I notice it like on social media or even at like the grocery store when I'm around people, is sometimes I'll be like at the grocery store or I'll be scrolling social media and I will just all of a sudden like know something deeply personal about someone that I'm seeing a post from or passing by in the grocery store aisle or something. Like I'll just get this download about them that like there's literally no way that I could know about them without just, I mean, it's like I didn't ask for it. I'm not trying. I'm not like digging for information at all. It's just like bam, here you go. Now you know. So that is claircognizance. And just for fun, I have created a little 7-question quiz, and I will link it in this module and in the show notes as well for you to take the quiz and just see what is your strongest clair currently. And like I said, many of us do have multiple clairs and channels that are open already and multiple ways that you experience your intuition. But this is just for fun to kind of get you noticing how you experience this and what clair of yours already might be pretty developed and even more developed than you would have thought. One thing I also do want to mention about clairvoyance, because that's kind of like the one that a lot of people want, or they think that they want to open up because that's, that's like the glamorous one. That's the hyped up one. That's the one that we see portrayed a lot more like in movies and TV and all of that. And it's like, it just sounds cool and all of that. But I do want to say that a lot of times our higher self is actually protecting us by not having that channel be fully open, because if, let's say, you are like, I really want to see the angels and I want to see people's auras and I want to see energy and I want to see, my spirit guides, my spirit team. I want to see God, all of that. But you don't want to see demons and dark forces and transmortals and, any other kind of dark entity. You can't see one without the other. So if you have the ability to see the spirit and energetic realm, then you can't only see the light and not the dark. You've got to see both. Like it's not an either or situation. It's a both and situation. So that is what a lot of people don't realize. And then they, get caught up on, why is this channel not fully opening? Blah, 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 blah. And that is probably why. You probably just have a lot of fear, and your higher self knows that you would not be well if you woke up in the middle of the night and you saw a demon or you saw a ghost or, a spirit or whatever that was scary. So, that could very well be protection, and it probably is. And that's why most of us cannot see the spirit and energetic realm. However, like I said, when I was talking about clairvoyance, just because you may not be able to see the spirit and energetic realm yet, that doesn't mean that you're not still receiving intuitive information from your clairvoyant channel. Just like how I said about like how a color might flash, or you might see like something in your mind's eye, that is still clairvoyance. It may not be the full entire spectrum of it, but that that still is. So I just wanted to say that before we go any further. All right. So let's get into how can we connect and start getting some yes and no answers from our intuition. So there are some there is some pre-work that you're going to do always every single time before you ever intentionally ask your intuition or your higher self for anything. So this is like housekeeping stuff. This is every single time you're going to do this, okay? We are going to connect to source and light, and we are going to intend that only source and light are here, and we only get answers from source and light, because we do not want any information from our ego. We don't want information from some random entity or dark force or, some eighth dimension demon or something trying to give us unsolicited advice. And also, this is interesting, but we are not actually even going to be asking our spirit team, our spirit guides, our angels for advice here, because although they love us and yes, they ultimately do want the best for us, they're actually not going to give us the most streamlined and quickest path. They often want to send us on little detours for character development and for lessons, some extra lessons. And so that's not going to be the most efficient way to gather information. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through connecting to source and the earth, and then I'll tell you something, and you'll want to write this down. I'm going to tell you something that you're going to declare before you ever ask any questions to your intuition of any kind. Okay, so you are going to connect to gold light. I like to make my light sparkly. So for me, I'm connecting to sparkly gold light. That's connecting to source. That is divine truth. And you're going to envision an ocean of gold sparkly light above your head, about 300 feet or so above your head. And then picture a funnel connecting that ocean to your crown. And you're just going to envision and visualize, or set the intent. If you're not someone who can visualize, just set the intent that this sparkly gold light is coming down the funnel and pouring into your crown, filling every cell of your body from your crown all the way down to your feet. And then for connecting to the earth, we're going to envision this really sparkly pink light. If you don't like sparkly, then take the sparkles out, but I like sparkly. So we're going to envision a sparkly pink rose-colored ball in the center of the earth. And you're going to picture that rose-colored sparkly pink light from the earth coming up through your feet, filling every cell in your body all the way up to your crown. So the pink light comes up through your feet, goes up to your crown. The gold light comes down from your crown all the way to your feet. You're going to do that every single time before. You're actually going to do that every single day, every single morning anyway, but especially before you ever connect with your intuition to intentionally ask a question. Then you're going to say, after you've connected to the gold and the pink, you are going to say this statement out loud or to yourself. I declare only source and light are here, and I only receive answers from source and light. That is going to ensure that we are only getting answers from where we want to be getting answers from. We don't want any misguidance or anything like that. We don't need any tricksters. And for today, as I mentioned previously in other modules and earlier in this module, there are several different fields that we can connect to for different kinds of information. But today we're only going to focus on the higher self field. And that's what we're going to connect to for most yes/no questions anyway. That's just kind of your higher self knows, what's best for you. He or she is never going to steer you wrong. She's never going to give you bad information or send you on a detour that's going to have you learn a bunch of extra lessons that you didn't really need to learn, make it harder than it needs to be. That's not what higher self's about. And higher self is also future telling. And source, fun fact, source is not. Source will not tell you any information about the future that you don't need to know necessarily. That's just not where you would go for that kind of information. So that's why we are going to keep it to the higher self for these particular kinds of yes or no questions. So what you'll do is after you connect to the gold and the pink light, and then you say your statement about source and light being the only source and light are here, you only receive answers from source and light, you are going to set your intention to connect with your higher self. And you can say this out loud. You can literally say, I intend to connect to my higher self. Or you can say, I intend to read my higher self field. You can say it out loud. I like to say it out loud, or you can just say it in your head. Obviously, you may be in public and you may not want to always say that out loud. That's totally fine. Energy work is all about the intention. So anytime I'm ever saying say this out loud or visualize this or something, you can always 100% of the time set the intention. And that will suffice. That will absolutely be more than good enough. Okay. All right. So how do we get our intuitive yeses and nos? There are several different ways that we can do this. But before I get into the different ways, the different methods, first of all, I just want to talk about how intuition is only as good as the questions that we ask. It is always best to be very detailed, and we also always are going to form our questions in the form of statements. So we're not actually saying, for example, should I have steak for dinner? We're going to say, it would be in my best and highest interest for me to have steak for dinner tonight. We're not going super vague because, it might be best for me to have steak for dinner sometimes. Depending on, maybe the time of the month, maybe it is best for me to have steak for dinner. Maybe I need the iron. Maybe it's not best for me tonight, though. So we want to add the tonight. We want to add, for dinner. Maybe it's good for us for lunch, but not for dinner, or vice versa. So you see what I'm saying? It's best to be more specific. Another way you could say it is also, eating steak for dinner tonight will get me closer to my health and fitness goals. Again, it's very specific. And you can even get way more specific by adding in what time to eat it, or how many ounces, what size of a portion. And if this might be overwhelming at first. I know it kind of was to me at first, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so many options. So if you're like, okay, that's a lot, maybe you just start with it being a little bit more broad, such as it is in my best and highest good for me to have a steak for dinner tonight, or the one I said about eating steak for dinner tonight will get me closer to my health and fitness goals. And then If you are having trouble, like you're not getting an answer, then get more specific. If you're not getting a clear answer, that is a sign that you do need to get more specific, because it could be a situation where your body isn't giving you, or your intuition isn't giving you a clear answer, because your statement is partially true and partially not true. So it's not as simple as yes or no. And so the example may be, like I said, maybe steak is best for you tonight, but maybe it's only best for you if you eat it before 6 p.m. Or maybe it's only best for you if you have 4 ounces instead of 8 ounces, or, something like that. So if you start more vague, a little bit more general, and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't really a clear answer, then that's when you're like, okay, it's not that my intuition is not working. It's not that my intuition is off. It's that I need to refine my statement, my question, my statement, and get more detailed, to get more clear on what exactly is the truth here. So, all right. To start, I want you to go take notes, of course, and I want you to use each of the following methods that I'm about to go through with questions that you already know the answers to. And this is going to help you get used to how you receive the yeses and the nos. And I'm going to give you 4 different ways, 4 different tools to receive yeses and nos, and you're probably going to have a favorite, or maybe 2 favorites. And so whenever we are starting with statements that we already know the answer to, you're gonna be like, okay, now I know how this feels. And so you'll start to get used to how a yes feels and how a no feels. So we're gonna start with statements like, my name is your name. So for me, my name is Sydney. That's obviously a yes, because I know that is true. For a no, you could test, my name is, and then a name that is not your name. That's an obvious no. You could do something with age, like, I am 35 years old. Well, I personally, at this point, am not 35 years old, so that should be a no for me. You could, this is an easy no. This is definitely a no for every single person. You could say something like, it is in my best interest to do heroin today. That's an obvious no. You can just, replace that with anything that you know is absolutely 100% without a doubt a no. And then you could, on the flip side, do something like that you know is absolutely a yes, such as, it is in my best and highest interest to brush my teeth today, or to drink high quality water today, or to get a good night of sleep tonight. Something that you obviously know the answer to. That is going to help you start to feel into this and see, like, okay, what does a yes feel like in my body? What does a no feel like in my body? And just kind of start to calibrate that and fine tune that. Okay, so let's go through the different methods. So first one we're going to talk about is called muscle testing. And there are many different ways to muscle test. However, I am just going to go over one easy way in this instance. So what you're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet like hip width distance apart. And you are going to have a little micro bend in your knees, like don't lock your knees. And then, so make sure, like I said, you've already connected to golden pink. You've already set your intention to connect with your higher self. You've already made your statement and you've declared that only source and light are here. Always, 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 always do that first. Don't do any of this before you've done that. Okay. So now you're standing, feet hip distance apart, and you have set your intention to connect with your higher self. And then you make your statement, first, you want to ask your body to show you a yes. Ask your body to show you a yes. Most people will lean forward. You'll notice like you're just standing, your weight is evenly distributed as you're standing. Most times people will lean forward. Like you'll just notice your weight start to shift forward, and you might even kind of lose your balance because you're going forward. That's a yes. And then ask your body, say, show me a no. And you'll rock back onto your heels. And now this is not you doing it. You are not going to be like, okay, show me a yes. And then you consciously push your weight forward, or show me a no and you consciously move your weight backward. That is not what you're doing here. You are just going to stand there and wait for your body to do it for you. Okay. And if that doesn't work for you, like if you're just like, it's not happening, like, I don't know, then that's okay. Don't use this method. But I like this method, especially. I think it's really cool. And probably the way that I use this the most, like, this is not the method, my go-to method, but I do really like to use this one for, like supplements and stuff like that. Like I will literally hold something like, and I usually hold it like against my body in my heart space area. Or if it's a supplement, like maybe about gut health or something, I'll hold it maybe in the vicinity of my gut. And I'll say, this supplement is in my highest good for da 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 da. Or sometimes I don't even say anything. I just hold it on my body and I wait for my body to either accept it with a yes or reject it with a no. And so that's one way that I like to use this form of getting a yes or a no. And the next one is just using your body feeling, like how you'll notice how a yes feels in your body, how a no feels in your body. You're not standing, you're not doing muscle testing, you're literally just using your body sensations. Okay. And this one is a little bit more, might take a little bit more time for you to develop. And that is totally fine. Excuse me. Had to get a little sip. I've been talking for a minute here. Okay. So some people pick this up right away. Some people, it takes a little bit more time. For me, it took a little bit more time for me to start to learn my body yeses and nos. So this one, you're just going to make your statement. Again, start with something that you already know the answer to. And then you'll just notice how does a yes feel? It might typically feels like expansive and light and free and just good. It's a good, you feel good. It feels like a yes in your body. And then a no, you might feel like restrictive. Your chest might feel heavy. You might have a knot in your stomach. You just like a pit in your stomach or something like that. And your stomach might do like that little flip sensation. Like when you get bad news and you get like that flip and your stomach just like drops. That might be how a no feels in your body. So eventually, I think most of our goals would be to get to the point where you can just immediately have these yes and no feelings in the body. Again, practice this one with questions and statements that you already know the answer to, so that you can keep on just really tuning into and feeling into how you experience these. Okay, next is colors, and this one's kind of fun. So you are going to pick 3 colors that are yes colors for you. That could be like your 3 favorite colors. Like maybe it's like pink, purple, and I don't know, blue. Those are your 3 favorite colors. Or it could be like gold, silver, and white. And then you're going to pick 3 no colors. Typically, like you would choose these to be colors you don't really like as much. Or maybe for you, like you actually do love the color black, but you're just associating no with like dark, like gray, black, brown, something like that. So it doesn't matter. It literally does not matter at all. Just pick 3 colors that for you are going to signify yes, and 3 colors that for you are going to signify no. Okay. And then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to make your statement, ask your question, make your statement. And then whatever color your eyes automatically go to, the first one that your eyes see when you open your eyes, that's your answer. And if you're like me and you're like, well, I already know the colors that are in my house, so I feel like I might be manipulating this by doing that. Like if I do that in my room or in my office or something, like I pretty much know what colors are in there. And so how do I know it's not just like my brain or my conscious mind kind of manipulating that by, trying to make my eyes go to whatever color of the yes or the no, whatever I want it to be, whatever I want the answer to be. And so what I would do in that situation is you can literally just like turn in a circle with your eyes closed. And so you don't even necessarily know which direction you're facing whenever you open your eyes. So that's one way to do it. You could also set the intent and ask your higher self to show you in your mind's eye what color. So you're not even seeing a physical color. You can literally just see it in your mind's eye. Like maybe you'll see a splatter of color or you'll see a flash of color when your eyes are still closed. That's another option. And if you do open your eyes and you see a color, like whatever your eyes land on, it's not one of the three colors that you chose for yes or no, that's fine. The most advanced version of this would be like, it doesn't matter what your yes colors are or what your no colors are, because as soon as your eyes land on whatever color it is, you would just know like, okay, that's a yes or that's a no. You would just be able to know in that moment, even if you hadn't already set the intent that like, okay, if it's a black or gray or brown, it's no. So if that does happen, like let's say your yes colors are pink, purple, and blue, and then you open your eyes and you see green, then you could always just try it again, do it again. Or you could just at that point decide, okay, well, what would green be to me? Like, how would I classify green? So that's another option to go with. But again, if you're like getting stuck on, well, what, like I already know what colors, blah, 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 maybe just set the intent to have it show you in your mind's eye. And then the last option is the pendulum, and you don't have to like get on Amazon and buy an actual like crystal pendulum or anything like that. You can literally just use any necklace or anything that dangles, like a keychain or something, anything that has enough of a chain on it that it dangles in a circular motion, that will work as a pendulum. So to calibrate this, what you're going to do is kind of like with the muscle testing, you're going to ask it or tell it to show you a yes, and you're going to see what it does. For me, a yes is a circle. It goes in a circular clockwise motion. And then you're going to, once you see what your yes is, you're going to say, okay, show me a no. And for me, that is like an up and down, a straight line up and down. That's my no. And so now every time whenever I am using a pendulum, I always know it's always the same. A yes is always a circle and a no is always the straight up and down straight line. So it is going to be different for everyone. Unlike with the muscle testing, usually everyone's yes is forward and the no is backward. But with this one, it could be different for everyone. So give it some time to show you. With the pendulum, a mistake that people can use or that people can make, is asking questions too fast. So you ask a question, it starts to move, and you're like, okay, that's the answer. Let's move on to the next one. And sometimes it can take a second to, move directions. Like if it's spinning in a fast, big circle, it's going to take a second to change if the answer is different on your next question. So just slow down a little bit if you are using the pendulum. And with the pendulum, it's super, super fun because we're getting to see something happen. Like we feel like we're seeing our higher self or whatever field that we're connected to communicating with us. And that's super fun. But I want to caution you to try not to get too reliant on this method because it is something outside of you. And although, like I said, it's fun and it's valuable, you don't want to be in a situation where you can't connect with your yes and no answers without a pendulum. Like maybe you're in public and you don't have a necklace or a keychain or whatever. And then you're like, well, okay, now what am I supposed to do? I need a yes or no answer on what I should order at this restaurant, or if I should make this purchase, or if I should go this way or that way. Like you just don't want to ever outsource your power and your intuition, your intuitive connection to something outside of you. So just keep that in mind. And I also just want to mention, like, I just gave you some really awesome tools to connect with your higher self. And however, this is still new. This is still a muscle that we need to strengthen. Think of it as like day one at the gym after, maybe potentially being out of the gym for years and years and years. Maybe you've never been in the gym and this is literally brand new. So we are not going to start out by asking our intuition questions like, should I leave my marriage? Should I break up with my partner? Should I marry my partner? Should I quit my job right now? Should I move to Europe right now? Like, we're not going to be asking absolutely life-altering, detrimental questions, okay? Intuition training, which is what we're doing right now, does not mean burn your life down and completely start over. We're going to start small. We're going to start with some less consequential things, okay? Like, should I have a second cup of coffee today? Which, of course, I'm asking that in a question form, but you know that you would reform that into a statement of, it would be in my best interest to have a second cup of coffee today. So, some other ideas like, should you do yoga or go on a walk? Or should you go to the gym or go to yoga? Should you do Pilates or should you rest? Should you watch that show or should you read? Doing things, using your intuition to connect with things like this that are much, much, much less consequential is going to help you build trust in yourself and your intuition without chaos. Because we don't need a ton of extra chaos right now whenever we're strengthening our intuitive connection. And you also don't want to mistake trauma reactivity for intuitive knowing, because that is something that's possible to do and we don't want to do it. Okay, what did you think now that you know the four of the different ways to receive your yes or no answers from your intuition? This week for your homework, I really want you to try 5 yes or no questions/statements daily using at least 2 of the methods that I talked about. And of course, I'm saying I want you to do this week, but I want you to continue doing this like ongoing, because again, intuition is a muscle. You're going to get stronger and stronger. And you may even find that the method that at first you didn't connect with as much, like that may turn into your favorite. So do that every single day. And the quiz that I mentioned, the fun little quiz to figure out what is currently your strongest Clair, I am going to link that in the show notes, and I'm so excited for you to take that. I mean, who doesn't love a quiz? Like, I'm obsessed. I love stuff like that. So I will absolutely link that. It's free, and you will just get to find out what is currently your strongest Clair. So again, my program RECODE, there's going to be information. I'm going to be releasing a lot more information and, what's in it, what's it about, who was it for on my Instagram. So if you're not following me, of course, go follow me at Intuitively Sydney on Instagram. There will also be a little bit more information in the show notes, and it launches in August. So highly recommend keeping your eye out as soon as that launches. It is going to be life changing. This is not just like surface level stuff that you could just chat GPT or Google yourself. I promise you, this is like next level shit. Okay. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much for listening, and please DM me on Instagram and just let me know what you thought of this and how you're experiencing as you're practicing with your intuition, how that is for you. How is that process for you? And if you have any questions, then please also DM me and let's talk about it. So, okay, I will talk to you on Friday in this week's Alchemy Hit episode. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend who needs it. Take a screenshot, post it to your Instagram story, and tag me at Intuitively Sydney. That's SIDNEY. I would love to see who's tuning in so I can connect with you and celebrate you. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.